We mentioned this, that Mike Vrabel's not going to be at the pre-draft press conference because, probably not a great idea. But it does bring up the point that it occurred to me, oh, yeah, the draft's next week. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Just sort of right around the corner, one of the big events yearly in the world of sports. They're expecting 700,000 people to show up in Pittsburgh. They're shutting down all the schools. Yet from this far away, it just doesn't feel like it's all that it's cracked up to be in years past.
Who's to blame for that? I mean, is this a matter of it not being the most exciting offseason in general for the NFL? Like free agency wasn't that impactful. The draft class, maybe some people say it's because Fernando Mendoza's too squeaky clean, and it's already known where he's going to go.
It's him. He's the problem. Get a flaw.
You're going to blame Mendoza?
Get a flaw. Get a bad habit. Start drinking. If somebody wants to slip him an ounce of crystal meth before the draft, do something. Get an edge. Get something so we have something to talk about. If you're Laramie Tunsil, dude, you're not using the gas mask anymore. Give it to him. Let him do it. Sitting there in South Beach, waiting for the Raiders to pick him, and next thing you know, they pan over, and he looks like that guy at the drug lab in True Detective with a gas mask on filled with weed. That's what we need. We need something salacious, and he's not giving it to us.
Dang. I don't know how to respond to that, but I find it interesting that we have not had very many top athletes or top pick guys not come under an intense scrutiny. Sorry, so I'm like getting caught in my thoughts. Intense scrutiny for them. I think back to the RG3 Andrew Luck. Is it RG3 and Andrew Luck that were coming out together? Is that the two?
Yep.
Yeah.
And how you had two guys, not one, you had two guys that it was very hard to create a narrative about what you did not like about them. And I think that was when we were hitting a period in time and culture where it was becoming a little bit more frowned upon and difficult to just speak your piece, especially if it had to do with a person of color. And I think that the approach in that year was because Andrew Luck was the generational talent, but RG3 was the one who won the Heisman and had an amazing year and did all of these things right. The only thing that you really could lean on going into that draft was turning them into arch nemesis or making it a versus type of deal, like pick your poison, when in reality, to be honest, it probably wasn't even close. I think they tried to do that with Simpson, the guy, or not. Is it Ty Simpson? Is that his name? Am I getting it right? Yeah. I think they tried to create that with the Alabama quarterback here, but in an effort of raising the point that he could be considered just as good, if not better, than Mendoza coming into this draft, was shot down in such ferocity that it kind of killed it. And so it's a matter of if we're building what the buildup of this draft is based off of, I think Mendoza, unless you're okay with just fantasizing over it working out exactly the way it does in the movies, slow start in life in terms of nobody wanted you. You couldn't even walk on to the school that you wanted to go to. You end up going to this school here. It isn't that good. You end up transferring, going to another school. It works out for you. You end up beating the school that didn't want you, and you end up winning the Heisman. It's like the great feel-good story in so many different ways. If that's not what they're leaning into, I would ultimately challenge people to, what is the storyline that somebody could take and create for this year's draft? What is it?
Well, no, and that's the interesting thing about this is you do have an incredible story. A quarterback who comes in and in a single year turns around arguably the worst football program in college football history, wins the Heisman, runs the table in arguably the most difficult era to ever do it, and yet there's still no buzz, and he's going to a team that's a storied franchise, or we're assuming he's going to go to the Raiders, which is a storied franchise, and obviously needs a ton of help to turn this thing around. So it's kind of crazy to me that there's not more buzz. Maybe just because it's a foregone conclusion, that's part of it. I tend to look at it this way. I don't think it's so much about Mendoza as it is about everything else behind him. We might have to wait a little while before we hear Ty Simpson. There's some concern about his lack of experience. You look at some of the top rated guys, Caleb Downs, he's a safety. Jeremiah Love, he's a running back. When you look at teams and how they build their roster, they get excited about tackles, edge rushers, D tackles, cornerbacks, wide receivers, obviously quarterbacks. Not those two position groups. When those are the best overall prospect players you're looking at and they get kind of pushed up, it takes a knock at some of these guys. I mean, Arvell Reese is an incredible talent, but their teams are looking at him as an edge player. He doesn't have a ton of experience as an edge player from Ohio State. You look at Ruben Bain, there's concern about his length, of his arm length, and now there's some concerns about, a car accident happened a couple of years ago and left someone.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're digging into this stuff. Spencer Fanu, the tackle out of Utah, some might feel like he might be better at guard. So when you start to break down this draft, I don't think it has so much to do with Fernando Mendoza. I think it has to do with the NFL scouts, talent evaluators, not getting as excited because they don't have those tackles, those edge rushers, those, the defensive front, the wide receivers, the cornerbacks. They don't have as great of a class as they've had in the past. Or next year when I've talked to you guys about the quarterback class. Like that quarterback class, you're going to see 5 to 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. That is my projection for 2027. This year, we might only have one. So I think all those things add up to there not being as much buzz around NFL teams, their front offices, and then that kind of lends to the same way about the media. Where outside of doing mock drafts, they're not talking about it quite as much. I mean, right now, part of the speculation is, all right, after Mendoza, when is Ty Simpson going to go? How are we going to see some of these tackles, some of these defensive players, but where's Jeremiah Love fit in there as a running back? How high could he go? And that's kind of it. I think if you ask, go ahead.
I was going to say, am I horrible for saying if Arch Manning, or let's just go back to like if Michael Vick or, was coming out right now, would there be more excitement about what Mike Vick could represent to the Raiders than what we're seeing with Fernando Mendoza? Because for what it's worth, Fernando Mendoza accomplished more than what Mike Vick did in his last year coming out of college. I just don't think – I feel like the reason why this draft is struggling to have that type of storyline, last year's draft struggled too. And they had to lean on Shador to carry them through two days of draft coverage.
Yeah, they had people prank calling them. Right?
I mean, come on, man. From team's kids, by the way, from organizational people's kids. I just wonder what it leads me down the road to wondering is if there's not an anchor for this draft in particular. It was the controversy of Shador, which as much as that to do with connecting it to Prime, to Deion Sanders, it's an easy one to win on and get people to link in and pay attention to. This one this year, it says to me that maybe there's not a belief that Mendoza is a generational talent. Maybe Mendoza is not the quarterback that is going to change what's going on in Las Vegas with that team. Maybe they're not as high. Maybe people are not as high on Mendoza internally as what needs to be for the hype machine to really get behind him. Because ultimately, if he were that, I think people would be way more excited for a legendary historical franchise to get a guy that's going to turn the fortunes around of what they've been and what they've not been able to get away from, which is winning and not having a franchise quarterback to go with their team. That should be an easy layup of a headline that drives this draft, and it's not. So to me, I feel like this could be an indictment on how good they view Mendoza being as a pro quarterback. I mean, not even projecting him to start.